So here we are. By the way, the one thing which I missed, which I didn't talk too much before, is that my first startup was actually B2C startup. So my first startup was United Dogs and Cats. So you can make profile for your dog on cat. Huge market, by the way. So and we had like many users, but we failed to make money. So we really we had huge amount of users, but we had clients also in 100 countries. But what was our failure making money is that first we had business model to make money out of advertising. And then we realized that, oh my God, this is so broken. So you should build product which is focusing to your users, like premium. So this was my basically experience with B2C to failing. So let me maybe start, and everybody from you, just first maybe you can a little bit talk how is your company doing like monetization, and what is the biggest things which you have learned in that time when you have built it. So maybe starting from here.
Okay, so good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Álvaro. I'm the CEO of Tradio. Tradio is a music platform that enables fans to discover new music and directly support the artists who make it. So it helps artists to be discovered, expand their audience, and monetize their super fans. So we launched the product, we started 2 years ago with a technology and a vision, developing an MVP here in Portugal, supported by the Espírito Santo Ventures. And then, after validating the MVP, we launched the product the last year in the UK to, on top of the technology, develop a consumer product. And in the end of the year, we experimented different business models, and we converted the core business model this year that we activated 2 months ago in beta.
Okay, and you activated 2 months ago. You are already making now money?
Yes, we are starting to make money. As you said, the last year we stretched the product to engage all the freemium tier. We are in music. Free music is the platform is free for artists and users, and we stretched the product to evolve to have a music streaming platform with the same capabilities like SoundCloud. Now, when we activated the business model, we learned a lot about who are our customers, what they really need. So now the path is more clear. We are now more effective developing features, delivering value.
Great. So we will come back to it a little bit later. So Filippa, talk about your startup and how you're making money, what you have learned in that short time frame.
So hi everyone, I'm Filippa and I'm co-founder of Chic by Choice. Chic by Choice is a fashion rental marketplace. We have started 2 years ago. We are shipping to most European countries. The way we make money is instead of selling full price, we give customers, women in this case, the chance to rent for only 15% of the retail price, something that for them is super aspirational and that they would eventually only wear once. And I see it as a super exciting space, big industry. We're talking about clothing, and clothing online is tough. But it's definitely a huge market. So anyone that can actually change distribution in a market this big will have impact.
And when, your startup is now 2 years old, when did you start to monetize your product?
Just to give an overview, our first investment was a pre-seed investment, $500,000. And it took us 3 months to have our MVP to launch. So after 3 months, we started monetizing. Like most B2C companies, and especially if you're building a new category, the first 3 months, I would say, are really painful, and we all know it if we are in B2C. And building something that nobody has built before, or building something that is significantly different than just the regular retailer, pure e-commerce.
Okay. And maybe then Joe from Hot Hotels.
Since I'm here, you might as well ask me a question. Yeah. Well, I guess our story, Hot Hotels, we're Europe's biggest mobile-only hotel booking app. We're going about 4 years. We went live in the App Store on the 12th of March, 2012. So we're in 54 countries and about 350 cities. I guess Hot Hotels is my 6th startup. I've been doing this for about 20 years, going right back to the .com time. And some of that was I grew up, or at least even though I'm not from Dublin, I was living there, and almost everyone was either starting a band or starting a startup. And to a sense, that's still happening. And one of the things about Sixth Startup is that you do learn a few lessons along the way. I mean, the previous panel was talking about what was needed for ecosystems, and mentoring is the #1 thing. I mean, my mother is a scientist, and she often says, you know, that a day in the library can save you 6 months in a lab. So here we are in the library, so maybe you might remember that. But one of the things we learned was the importance of monetizing early. So we had sales on the first day the app launched, and that has always been our way. And we try and keep very focused on just the transaction, that we get the money. So there's one of the most important things about what you do is that when the customer pays, the money comes straight to you, and then you can send out the other parts. But that's a much better situation to be in than when the money goes to somebody else and then has to come to you. So, monetizing early is a great theme in that respect. There's 2 other things, which is in a payments territory, the idea that you have a history is really important. In other words, the fact that we're 4 years old helps a lot with banks and things like that. Banks are often slow to give payment facilities to startups, so it helps a lot that if you monetize early, because then when you are starting to get attention, the worst possible thing to happen is someone rings you up and says, "Hi, I want to give you guys money." You know, that should never ever happen. You should enable them to do it from the beginning.
Okay. So great. So all of those companies on the stage are very international. So the one thing which I maybe can ask now as well is that like especially if you look US market, if you look Europe market is so much like different countries, different languages, and so on. So maybe start with that. So also from it, like, so have you like, what is your sense like? You have now like all of you. The question is the same. Like, do you have the same pricing? What's your feeling like? What is now the best like markets for your product? Have you kind of like changed it onto the way? Because like many like for the B2C startup, usually it's so easy to go to the huge market like California, start from that. And for the Europe startup, it's so much harder because whatever we have much smaller countries, and B2C startup needs to grow huge. So what is your experience like building this company from Europe? What is your experience with different markets? The pricing and all of those, like how much people are ready to pay even money and so on.
Okay. So explaining, our business model is a crowdfunding model where fans can subscribe directly the artist in exchange to be part of their fan club, in exchange of content, exclusive experience. So it's a crowdfunding model, and we pick a 10% commission. So it's the same price for all the model. We started in Portugal, then with an MVP, and we launched the product in the UK. Then we experiment also the Spain market, directly activating. But what we saw in Europe, there is a fragmented market, and also when you look to music, it's content, and it's more fragmented. So the type of music in Spain is completely different than in the UK, or Portugal and the UK are more similar. So now our objective, because the music industry is 18% in the US, the crowdfunding is growing very fast in the US. So, and also, the US is a big market, but in terms of music, it's more transversal. So now we are looking to activate the model and activate in the US, basically in LA, where all the creators, it's a hub of creators, music, tech. So for us, it's key to move to the US to have a bigger market with same content, easy to scale.
Have you looked Latin America, like my B2B product, but still like Brazil is like huge.
Yes. We activated in Portugal and the UK. We're activating the local ecosystems, but we grow organically in the US and in Brazil.
As well, okay.
So Brazil is a key geography for us because for the culture, they are very receptive. We are creating cultural bridge between Brazil and Portugal, bringing artists. So these are the 2 key geographies for us for these characteristics.
Okay, great. Philippa.
So for us, we were starting a new category. It was important for us, a lot of factors. We're talking about, for example, a country that has a high e-commerce usage, that had good logistics, that it was also a plus if it had a really strong currency. It was also nice for us. So we started having customers in the UK from day one. Like our first customer was a UK customer. We have our team here, operational team. We will now, because we are in a different phase, move our operations, our warehouse to the UK because now it makes sense. But although we built Chic by Choice locally, because the internal market is so small, we needed to look abroad like since day one. So our biggest market is UK, our second biggest market is Germany, there's something that it's clear for us. Our best repeat purchase market is the same as our highest average order value market. So all the KPIs are better in one market, which is the UK for us. So we don't have to think a lot about it at this moment. It's just more about pushing it to the next stage of growth in a big market. So we wanted to find a formula, not for a small market. So if we're spending time finding what would work, let's find the formula in a big market. And for us, that's
try
why.
to copy that in the small markets.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then it was like the last year, it was also about understanding if that same formula worked in other markets. And it works. Just we are having we are proving cohorts, we are proving repeat. So that's why we're still investing more in the UK, though we have really interesting numbers in other markets with the same strategy.
What about US? You are active in US now? No?
So there's a big player in the rental market in the US. They're 6-7 years old now, Rent the Runway. And it's not a priority at the moment. We are really lean. We are really focused.
Okay.
And we obviously know what the market is doing. We think they're doing like some challenging and interesting things. They proved and they convinced designer brands that it's perfect for them to use Rent the Runway as a partner. They actually are buying more Rent the Runway now than department stores,
Okay.
which is quite interesting. And yeah, so.
And in
not the
Germany,
US
your
now.
product is in German language or in English?
It's in German. So we have native German speakers in the company. At the moment, we have 2 people.
Okay.
That.
And you also
take care.
offer support in German language? Or?
Yes, since day one actually.
Oh, really?
We had so our team, although we are based in Portugal, we have people from abroad, and we think that even in the startup world, not only for Chic by Choice, but for the startup ecosystem, one of the big game changers for the Lisbon ecosystem is when we will start bringing the knowledge of people that have done it in a bigger scale and bring them to our ecosystem.
Have you looked Southeast Asia, Singapore, Hong Kong?
Yeah, it's an interesting market, I would say.
But you have not still thought that this is a serious market? No?
It's interesting.
Okay. Okay, let's go to the...
Don't negotiate.
Yes.
Same question, I guess. Well, the first thing is I grew up in Ireland, so a bit like you guys in Estonia, we're international from day one, you know.
But
so
you have some people, we don't have any.
Yeah. Well, there are famously more Irish people living outside of Ireland than inside of Ireland, and the diaspora are great people to plug into. So international was always a sort of a big thing for us, and even though we're based in Marbella as well, which is also an international part of the world, and the idea is that we can attract very good technical talent to Marbella. You go to a guy in the Czech Republic and say, how would you like to come and live in Marbella? And he says that will be yes. So that helps a lot. The other thing is that I teach as a professor in IE Business School. I spend about half my time teaching there, and my investors often say, like, why are, we paid for you full time kind of thing. And I say, look, IE has 98 nationalities, So I have a Romanian guy, I have someone from all parts of Germany, the Black Forest and also Hamburg. So I have people who I can try out my app on and who can tell me, what are the best newspapers, what are Germans like with credit cards, all these kind of issues. So in a sense, they sometimes willingly give me full feedback and also literally tell me, why aren't you in this place kind of thing. So in that sense, the international mindset and our major competitors are really poor at international. It's quite stunning to see, how poor they are. And that's been that way as long as I can remember. The very first companies I started, they still don't get international. Even people who are international get more Americanized in America. So somebody, from Germany how quickly they forget about Germany, having spent a couple of years in Silicon Valley and how that used to be. So, I mean, it's a huge advantage for us. And, when we talk to, I kind of describe it as being like soccer or football. We feel superior to the Americans. They're actually better than they are, but we feel superior. We think this is our thing. Internationalization is the way we can beat these guys.
So maybe let's talk about, because in the B2C you can find different ways, like you can use freemium, you can use premium, you can also sometimes, like, I hope that you don't look anymore advertising, but like Snapchat is just doing some key partnerships and trying to make money out of that, not through users. So let me just, maybe every one of you can also describe, like, what is your feeling about these different possibilities, and which is for you feels now more and more like interesting for the new B2C founders, like which they should look and how they really find this spot which is fitting for their product.
If I understand your question,
so the question is how to find the moment when you start to monetize,
okay,
and what exact model you should look,
okay. So when we started Tradio, we started with a mission to help artists to make money. So there is a huge problem. 90% of the artists don't make money. And with this vision and a core technology that helps to find new talent. So, and different possibility business models related with brand engagement, artist management, and also gamification. So when first we tested the technology, we validated what was possible to find new talent. Then we developed a consumer product to validate that it was possible to engage fans. And then we tested the three business models. Related with brands is a possible business model, but it's hard to scale. You need to, it's human-based. So it's a complementary business model in the medium term, but it's not a digital core business model to scale fast. Also, from the artist management is very human-related, and the industry is hard to monetize. So the core business model related with gamification was one option, but it moved us the product from the music ethos for more gaming to scale it. So testing this, we moved it to one of the original business model that was crowdfunding. So we can scale in a digital way, and then in some key geographies or in key cities, develop partnerships with brands. We are doing this, but more related with awareness, delivering more value for artists.
So have you had any brand cooperation already? Or
yes, we have. We partnered, for example, with Uber, with Mini. They are investing, they are supporting directly new talent, and they engage.
Is it easy to close those? How much time would take, startup for going to some big brand? And
in an experience model that we test different approach, like, okay, let's do a road show with 5 artists. It's easy to activate. If you want to build a business model around this, you need to build a sales force. You enter in all the business, sales cycle, so it's harder. We tested, it worked, we have good appeal, but it was very time-consuming for this phase.
What about you, Philip? Have you experience to attracting bigger companies, some partnerships, or asking money from them as well? Do you believe in that model?
So for us, first, it was important to understand who was our customer. Although there's a big player in the US, the average order value is not the same. The early adopters of Chic by Choice are not the same early adopters as Rent the Runway, so the target is different. So we could not just copy the model. So for us, the advantage of launching early and monetizing early is that you have more data about who is your customer, and we needed to learn that. So we were iterating, who is our customer? We didn't assume this. Obviously, we had assumptions, but we didn't have answers, right? So learning fast, and there are some channels that are definitely really scalable, was important. So we were not really worried about having B2B partnerships in the beginning, and we were more worried about supply. So in our market, sometimes too early means you don't have the right supply. Because you can have a lot of customers coming to your e-commerce platform, but if you don't have the right supply, then you don't drive demand, right? So one of the things that was key along the way was that if we have good product and if we work on that side of the business, so those partnerships, those are the partnerships that actually make us grow faster. We do some activities like going to HSBC and big corporate companies and giving vouchers, but the ones that actually change the most the growth of the company are the partnerships with the brands. Because if you have good supply, you drive demand. At least that has been our experience.
Okay, we're running out of time. The last, you can also comment that, and then you can go to stage. Just wait a bit.
Okay. No, it's just to let you know that you just have the 5 minutes for the Q&A, and they started right
Yeah,
now.
but let me just
Okay.
show you also.
Sure.
I'll be here.
I guess the point I'd make is in the travel game, there's obviously two big gorillas, Expedia and Priceline, and there are many days when we sell more through other apps rather than through our own app. We regard ourselves as not part of the app economy, but the API economy, meaning that on most people's phones, trying to get, the cliche of download my app. Most people, in fact, I would say there are days again where people buy from us without even knowing us, but they trust the brand. Kayak, Skyscanner, Trivago, all these guys. The other part is that most of these companies are still web-first companies rather than mobile. We're a mobile-first, mobile-only company. So they are not that sophisticated when it comes to mobile. And in many cases, there's a fight going on between web and mobile. So there is a situation where we get an XML call from one part of one company, goes through our system, and then goes out through an API of the same company. In other words, they are incapable of talking to each other. They have to come through us, which is a fun side of business. But that's the trying to build a brand in B2C is almost impossible. That was something that we learned also in the .com era. So what you need to do is you obviously need to have your own app, and then you can upsell. There's nothing better than an email afterwards saying, you just bought from us, maybe you didn't know it, but if you download our app and buy from us directly in the future, you'll get a better price. And that's a much easier sale than having an ad and saying download my
Great.
app.
Let's take only one question from audience. If you have any, please raise hand. And do we have questions for the people in this panel? Come on, guys. Because that's the time for the questions.
I'll sing if they don't say anything.
Yeah, we can talk here forever. Come on,
There's an Estonian folk song about a woman who died in a forest or something. It was all very sad.
So come on, any question from the audience? Because we are running out of time and we can just take one of them. No? Okay, so maybe let's wrap it out, everybody from you. So just a few words at this moment. If you would just, what is for you the most interesting area for the B2C startups now? Like if you would be founder and you would not do new startup, where you would look? And just, a few words because we're out of time.
For me, I'm very curious about all the 3D printing, so it's a passion. And if I found a new startup, I look for a space and a business model to start monetizing from day one.
Okay.
Sure.
Great.
For me, I would say the two biggest sectors, like food and retail, like clothing retail.
Yeah. Like Food Panda, it's perfect, food and retail, yeah. And you?
It's more technology with AI and bots. If Hot Hotels was acquired by a company, we would have a mad weekend in Marbella, go absolutely crazy, and then the day after set up a company doing exactly the same thing using artificial intelligence and bots. The founder of Kayak, Paul English, has just set up a company called Lola to do exactly that. So literally that's the future. The idea that you can say, I want a hotel in Lisbon during Web Summit, it's a much easier kind of thing you can do rather than have to go, download apps and put in dates and stuff like that.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. There will be a 30-minute break. We will be back at 11:40 sharp. Thank you.